God's covenant with Abraham. In the ancient land of Ur, a man named Abram lived with his family. Abram was a righteous man who worshipped the true God. One day, God spoke to Abram and told him to leave his homeland and go to a land that he would show him. Trusting in God's promise, Abram set out with his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions. God led Abram to the land of Canaan. There he appeared to Abram and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." Abram built an altar there to honor God. Years passed, and God spoke to Abram again. He told Abram, "Fear not, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward shall be very great." Abram, now an old man, questioned how this could be, as he had no children to inherit the promised blessings. God assured Abram that his own son would be his heir, and took him outside to show him the night sky. "Look toward heaven and number the stars. If you are able to number them," God said, "so shall your descendants be." Abram believed God's promise, and God counted his faith as righteousness. God then made a formal covenant with Abram. He instructed Abram to bring a heifer, a goat, a ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. Abram cut these animals in half, except for the birds, and laid the pieces opposite each other. As the sun set, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. God spoke to Abram in his sleep, telling him that his descendants would be strangers in a land that was not theirs, and would be enslaved and oppressed for 400 years. But God promised to judge the nation they served, and that Abram's descendants would come out with great possessions. "As for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age." When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking firepot and a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. This was a sign that God was making a covenant with Abram, promising him that his descendants would inherit the land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates. Sometime later, God appeared to Abram again and reiterated his promise. He changed Abram's name to Abraham, meaning father of many nations, and Sarai's name to Sarah, meaning princess. God promised that Sarah would bear a son, and they were to name him Isaac. God also instituted the covenant of circumcision as a sign of his everlasting covenant with Abraham and his descendants. Even though Abraham and Sarah were very old, God's promise came true. Sarah bore a son, and they named him Isaac, as God had commanded. Through Isaac, God's promises to Abraham began to unfold, establishing the nation of Israel, through whom all the nations of the earth would be blessed. Thus, God's covenant with Abraham was a pivotal moment in the biblical narrative, laying the foundation for the unfolding story of God's plan for humanity.